What's up guys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing something different. We'll be making a tier list of every available unit in Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition. First, I'd like to thank Adamski for providing the link for this tier list. So man, thank you very much for it. And before we start, I'd like to just explain a bit how I'm going to separate those units by tiers. So, S plus will be those units that are so strong, so good at the game that they basically break it. S tier units are those that are good at like every situation. There's just no need for you to not recruit them. A tier are the units that are very good in most of the situations, not all. B tier are those that are good, but not just sometimes, like 2 or in 3 cases. C tier are those like niche units. They probably have only one use, or maybe they are just way too hard to use. D tier are those units that have like one use, but man, even at this they kind of suck. And F tier are the trash units, the ones you should always stay away from. And so, without further ado, let's start it. Our first unit is the engineer with the boiling pot, and I think he is very tricky to use. I mean, he needs to be very close to the edge of the gatehouse or the wall, and there also needs to be enough space on the ground for it to burn. Otherwise he just pours it and nothing happens. Most of the time, the engineer is simply shot down by enemies. So I think there are easier and more reliable ways to burn your enemies. So he goes to the D tier. The European Archer. And he's by far the weakest archer in the game. He has less HP, does less damage, and he can be one-shot by Crossbowman. The only good thing about him is that he's simply cheaper than the other archers. I personally don't like and don't use European archers, but I do understand that they are not a bad unit. And so I give him the A tier. Next one is the Crossbowman. The Crossbowman, man, he is just a beast. He's great anytime and anywhere. Attacking, defending, he can one-shot almost every unit in the game, and he has the highest health pool of all the archers. I mean, other than the heavy camel. He feels like cheating almost when you use him. Some stages get simply a breeze when you like stack a tower with them. So I'm giving him S tier. Man, he's the cheapest European soldier, but he deals almost no damage. He almost can lose to an archer in melee. He's vulnerable to arrows. His only use probably is triggering traps and digging a moat, but even then there are cheaper units than him. With the advanced options, I think he could be viable, but we are not ranking them based on it, so he goes to F tier. The Pikeman. Well, my opinion might be a little biased because... I don't even know how to say this word. Because he's my favorite unit ever. He has the highest life pool, can take most crossbow bolts, are fire resistant and have a decent speed. Also, they only cost 1 iron to recruit. For me, he's the perfect unit without flaws. Well, he might hit like a little kid, but eventually he will outlive his enemies. And so he goes to S tier. The Maceman. The Maceman is a great soldier. He's the fastest infantry unit and has a great DPS. Since the Stronghold has that weird stacking mechanic, I believe they can only lose in DPS to Knights. They are great at rushing enemies, harassing economy, taking down lords. The only problem is that they are kinda costly and can take much punishment before going down. So let's see. I still think they deserve the A tier. Now we go to the Swordsman. This one is kinda hard to rank, and I'm sure some will disagree with me. I think the Swordman is a good unit, both in attacking and defending. You could just send like a dozen of them and defeat many AR lords, like the Nomad Rat, those weaker ones. In your defense, what unit would you like to have your keep filled with? Oh, now that I think about it, probably Crossbowman, huh? But the second unit that comes to mind probably is the Swordsman. He has the highest DPS and is extremely tanky. He's just a little pricey and very slow. But still, I think he deserves the A tier. Now the Knight. I remember reading somewhere that the Knight is the best unit to use when you have an unlimited economy. I honestly agree with it, but it's not viable in normal skirmishes. He is the fastest unit, he's strong and tanky. Great for skirmishes in open ground, harassing, destroying siege engines. The only problem is that they are way too expensive, and sometimes they probably cost more than whatever you send them to destroy. But still, he deserves the A tier. Ladderman. Okay, just who the hell used them? I can only remember Snake. And do you know why? Because they totally sucks. They just need to dock on the wall while the soldiers climb his ladder. But guess what? The Ladderman is weak to arrows. And if he gets shot down, like every unit that's climbing his ladder also dies. So, F. Engineers. I mean, engineers are good, but here we are just analyzing them without his siege engines. And the only thing I think he can do is dig a moat. But even then, he's kinda premium unit to dig a moat because he's kinda expensive. But still, you will need them for the siege engines, so he can go to D tier. Now the monks. Monks are great if you use them right. They only cost 10 pieces of gold, requires no equipment, and can dish a lot of damage. Sure, you need the cathedral to recruit them, but remember that it also gives you a permanent 2+ permanent. Oh, I can't even speak. It gives you a +2 permanent popularity. They can easily defeat many more expensive units than them, like knights and stuff. But just try not to let them get shot by enemies. I believe he should get the A tier, like top A tier. Oh, the temple, I don't know how they are called, temple guardians, temple warriors. They're the same as the monk. Now we get to the catapults, and man, they are great. They can outrange like every archer in the game, one-shot any soldier, and literally reduce a castle to rubble in seconds. Sure, they get outranged by Trebuchet and I believe Tower Ballista, but unlike them, the catapult can actually move. It can destroy like everything around it and slowly creep forward, spreading more destruction. And so, it's the first unit to get the S tier, S plus tier. The Trebuchet. Well, more range is always good. The Trebuchet has the longest range in the game and probably the strongest attack against buildings and walls. Anything inside its range is simply doomed as long as it eventually manages to hit it. It just don't get the S plus rank because it can't move, so you have to disband it and rebuild it forward. But still, he gets the S tier. Now the Mangonels. Man, the Mangonels. Feels like you just give a weapon to a blind person and tells him to shoot at a general direction. Sure, it can hit like a dozen enemies or miss every shot. Oh, it can also hit your own troops. I mean, he's not a bad unit, but I think it's way too unreliable for me. But, should he get C? Nah, he's better than that. Let's give him B tier. Now the Siege Tower. Honestly, it only has one use. Dock on the enemy's castle and allow your troops to climb them. It moves relatively fast and also is pretty resistant to arrows. The only problem is that sometimes you can't find a spot to place them and your army will be under fire while you set them up. But if you manage to take control of the enemy's walls, it's basically over for them. But he still gets the C tier. Man, the Battering Ram is probably the worst siege engine of all. Why would you destroy a gatehouse or a tower in melee when you can just destroy it by throwing stones outside of his defense's range? I mean, the Ram does its job destroying the castle, but I think there are more efficient and better ways to do it. So I'll give it the C tier. Portable shields. They are so good. They can block arrows in an area around it, and it can take like 100 shots. Man, I think they can even take more than 100 shots. They cost only 5 golds and move almost as fast as cavalry. With a few of them, you could easily get the upper hand against the enemy's garrison. Your archers become almost arrow-proof with those around. Sadly, it was nerfed, and now you can't climb on walls and towers to protect your archers, but still, it deserves the S tier. The Tower Ballista. I believe you should always place a tower engine if you have a large tower in your castle, because only now it only costs, I believe, 110 gold, almost as the same as buying a Crossbowman. And Ballista has a better range than the Mangonel and also other archers. And so you can almost always shoot back when the AI sieges you, because they build his siege engines way too close to you. Sometimes it misses every shot. I believe it is a bug. But usually they can make quick work of catapults and fire ballista. And so it gets the A tier. The Arabian Bowman. For me, he's simply a better version of the European archer. He fires faster, has a higher HP, but also costs something like double the amount of gold. Since you have a limited space in your castle walls and towers, of course, if you don't exploit the game and overcrown every tower, I prefer having them for their higher DPS. And so I give them the A tier, just above the European archer. Oh, the slaves. The slaves honestly only have 2 uses in game: dig moats and burn your opponent's castle to ashes. And surely they are the best at their jobs, since they only cost 5 gold. But I feel that something changed in the Definitive Edition. As I remember, when you set fire to the enemy's castle, like everything would burn down. But now barely anything gets destroyed. The building seemed to, I don't know, become immune to fire for a long time after being doused by those well workers. Who I don't know why, also seems to be immune to fire. Man, who is immune to fire here? And being a niche unit, I'll give him the C tier. The Slinger. The Slinger is a complicated unit. He is the archer with the lowest HP, damage per shot and range. But he's simply dirty cheap. He's great at taking down unarmored soldiers like slaves, and also very slow troops like swordsmen and eunuchs. But they require way too much micromanaging. I mean, with 100 of them, you could take down a horde of enemies. Or you could also lose them without a single kill, just because you kind of forgot about them and they got outranged by enemy archers. I don't know if you saw it, but I made a video where I faced 5 Richards just using Slingers. And man, I have to tell you, my computer never suffered so much. And so I gave him the C tier. The Assassins. The Assassin is a great unit. He's not too expensive, 60 gold if I'm not wrong. He's strong and quick, but the most important thing is that they are invisible while far from enemies. A few of them could backstab your opponent's economy or even better, defeat his lord. But you have to be careful because they are very vulnerable to arrows and fire. They are also kinda janky to control. You never know if they will try to climb a wall or go all around, just walking through fire and enemy shots. So just be careful when using them. Still, I believe they deserve the A tier, probably under the Monk and above the Maceman. Horse Archer. Now we are talking. Welcome, the most unbalanced and ridiculous unit in the game. The ranged unit with the highest move speed and can file while moving. They can simply defeat any other unit simply by kiting and dodging their shots. They are so strong, Firefly had to put an option to nerf them, and even so, I believe people would still use them. You could literally beat the entire game just by using horse archers. And even easier if you pair them with portable shields. So it deserves the top spot, easily, S+. Arabian Swordsman. Well, basically he is the budget swordsman. He's cheaper with lower HP and damage. He's not a bad unit, but there are better options out there. He's a nice soldier to use when in a pinch. You could just panic recruit them when your castle is under attack so you can protect your lord. So, B tier. The Fire Thrower. Well, before the Definitive Edition, he was the only unit to automatically set your enemies on fire. And he was indispensable, especially on the extreme trail. But now you can recruit the Ambusher from the Battering Stockade, who is just a superior version of him. I mean, he still does his job, and could be a choice if you are very low on gold. So he gets the C tier. Fire Ballista. The Fire Ballista is basically a super crossbowman. It has better range, can set buildings on fire. It is pretty much strong against every unit. Its only counter are other siege weapons or being rushed by melee units. A funny thing about the target priority is that it tries to focus first on enemy siege engines and have soldiers. and only then it starts firing at his enemy's archers. And I believe it deserves the S tier. Now we get to the Battering Stockade units. First, the Skirmisher. I believe, just like me, most of you think they are kinda good. Probably because we got rushed by those goddamn Skirmishers. He's an okay unit. You can he can fight as a hybrid ranged and melee, especially useful in a barren open ground. It requires a certain degree of micromanaging, but I think he's worth his weight in gold, so he gets a B tier. The Eunuch. Man, the Eunuch is a unit that I personally love. I find the idea of a unit doing area damage a great addition. With a single swing of his swords, he could defeat one soldier or maybe 1,000, thanks to the weird stronghold stacking mechanic. When in melee, the fights are a little weird. It feels like every unit in a stack, they just will to be attacked. So if by God's grace your eunuchs are not the first ones to fall, when they swing their swords, they boom, they kill every enemy units and you automatically win. So he's a good unit, sure, once in a blue moon, when every stars align, but he's still a very slow unit, has terrible structure damage and is expensive. Man, have you ever attacked a wall using eunuchs? It's ridiculous. It feels like, I don't know, an archer could destroy a wall faster than him. The only use for them, I think it is to recruit a few of them to guard your keep alongside other durable units like Swordsman or Pikeman, so he has enough time to, I don't know, charge his area attack. Well, so he deserves the C tier. Sappers. Man, Sappers is a unit that I underestimated. He costs 50 gold and has like the best melee damage against structure. Wherever he touches, man, just turns to dust. It's almost magical. Also, he is very fast and immune to fire, but very vulnerable to arrows. So he's great when rushing or harassing, but they kinda need to be micromanaged, otherwise they just get shot down. Still they are good, not that good, so I give him the B tier, yeah, B tier. Now the Demolisher. Okay, I'm sorry about this, Adamski, I know how much you love them. I also like them, but I don't think they are that good. For me, the Demolisher is a Bedouin Pikeman, but weaker. He has no major flaws, but also not great strength, not any great strengths. His greatest quality is to be almost fire immune, but unfortunately his shield isn't. So the shield burns and he gets shot down. But he's also great if your opponent relies heavily on fire and doesn't use Crossbowman, like the Caliph. If you want real protection from arrows, just use portable shields. If you want a good all-around unit, I'd use the Pikeman. And if you wish to really destroy a castle in an efficient way, use Catapults. And so I gave him the B tier. Now the Healer. I think he was a great addition to the Definitive Edition. Officially, there's no way to heal your wounded troops as well as your lord. So, being the only one to be able to do it, he deserves like a good placing in our ranking. As far as I recall, I think the unofficial patch allowed apothecaries to walk around and healing the troops, and so I remember building like a dozen or more of them, just to keep our army topped off. The only problem with healers is that they get targeted a lot by enemy archers, so we have to keep them far from the front lines, or simply surrounded by other archers and portable shields. So I give him the A tier, like here. Yes. Now the Heavy Camel. The Heavy Camel is a wonderful unit. He can take dozens of arrows, he fires very fast and has a decent movement speed. Honestly, I feel he was created so that AI could have a better ranged unit to attack with. They don't really have any weaknesses, other than being vulnerable in melee, like just every other ranged archer. Oh, of course, every archer is ranged. I think a problem with them is that they cost two peasants to recruit, and man, it is the only unit to cost this. I believe it was intended for them to be like a substitute for the horse archers, but honestly, I think horse archers are still superior, mostly because of their higher move speed and also being able to shoot while moving. But also they require much more micromanaging. The Heavy Camels are better at holding choke points outside your castle range and attacking lords who don't use Crossbowman. You can basically just send them and go do something else. They will probably outlast his rival archers. So, S tier. Camel Lancer. Did you ever think of, man, I wish I had some knights right now, so I could destroy those siege weapons, or maybe harass those quarries, but they are just too expensive. So fret not, the Camel Lancer has come to save the day. Oh my god, I can't speak. Costing only 40 gold, he delivers the same benefits as only a squad of knights. I believe they are as fast as knights, and can also do everything they do, other than tanking many arrows. Since speed is king in this game, the Camel Lancers easily deserves the S tier place. Ambusher. Behold the superior fire thrower. I see no reason to not recruit them over the basic fire thrower. Man, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Ambusher has a faster attack speed, his fire has a larger area of effect, and they are also invisible while standing still. Your opponent will only find out about them when their troops are already burning. Of course, it can probably happen to you as well. So, he gets the A tier. Tunnelers. Okay, tunnelers are bad. I'm sure you all had to use them at least once in the original Stronghold campaign, where your only option was to breach enemy's castle using tunnelers. And even then, you dug his tunnel too close to the enemy and they got shot down, so you had to restart the mission. No way that happened with me. So anyway, they are so bad that only Richard used them, and probably just because Firefly wanted him to have like every tool available to make our lives miserable. And so he goes to the D tier. And so guys, we got to the end of our tier list. So what do you think about this ranking? Do you disagree with anything? Please leave it in the comments. As it was requested, I plan to make a lore tier list after the winter DLC is released, but I have no idea when it's going to happen. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, I hope you have an amazing day. Love you all, bye bye!